Our next guest is a human rights defender. He is a thought lead at the Utu Heritage. His name is Al-Amin Kimathi. Those who know him, know him. Those who don't know him are about to know him. Al-Amin Kimathi, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. That's the hot seat of the situation room.
Asante.
Karibu sana. I see nywele ndevu nini na kichana kwa mfuko. Hey. Yeah?
What's the thing, eh?
Whatever you are, ikifika mahali fulani.
It's just for my beard, not for my hair.
It's just for the beard.
Yeah.
City uko nayo?
I'll lend it to City.
Lend it to City.
Mimi niko na nywele ndamba.
I'm not surprised that City has one as well.
Why are you saying you're not surprised? Mimi niko na nywele.
Uko na nywele?
Niko na nywele na ndamwesha sasa hivi.
I'm stuck in nywele. On a good day, I'm in locks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a good day.
On a good day. This is not a very good day.
Why?
You see what's happening around you?
Okay. City, kichana sawa.
Jali, we know you have it.
Tumeamini.
No, I was looking for something else.
Oh, you forgot.
Yes.
You conned us.
He went into the bag looking for
He
a
was
comb.
tricking us.
He forgot and started looking for something else, which he also didn't find.
Yeah.
Why don't you look for today's proverb, City? I'm sure that one you'll find.
That one I have before me, as you can see. Our proverbs for the whole of this week are from the country of Benin. Many words do not fill a basket.
Many words do not fill a basket. Babu, what's your interpretation of this one?
Wow, I'm not a Proverbs man. I pride in being an oratorialist, but Proverbs are not my kind of thing. A basket and many words. How many words will fill even this space? Leave alone a basket. Yeah, so many or even tons of them will never. But a few words might fill a basket, just a few, the right words, and the right energy behind the words. Thank you.
The right words might fill a basket.
That's a completely different perspective, and it's a very fine perspective. Yes, because some words are so weighty that they achieve a lot more than any action can.
Yeah.
Just the words themselves. Yes.
Yeah.
And that is true.
You're a sage.
Kabisa. Al-Amin, what is Utu Heritage?
Utu Heritage is a collective that works with collectives. So it's a collective that is based on the Utu philosophy, bringing people who are thinking that it's our time now to get away from the systems that we've had longest of time and go back to realizing the essence of humanity based on our Africanness and to regather our spirituality, to lead us forward, to sort us out first, and sort out our problems, which are most of them are based on imposition of anything else but our Africanness, or rather supplanting our Africanness with alien systems that are not ours, and therefore we've gone back to dig out what is ours, what are we, and in so doing, we realize that we have a strong heritage from our past as Africans, either on the continent or outside the continent, and therefore Utu heritage is about collecting, harnessing the resources, human resources that are domiciled either here or abroad to give us answers to so much that we are grappling with.
How do you engage? Is it via meetings? Is it via Zoom? Is it via sending each other messages, smoke signals?
You've answered yourself. We engage in all those ways that we've talked about, online, offline. But the biggest thing, the underlying engagement, is that we need to have a spiritual connection because Africans are spiritual. So the first engagement, which we usually recommend is an in-person engagement. But where it's not possible, we take advantage of technology so that we have online engagements or even phone engagements, but we keep at them. It's not a one-off thing. So we continuously engage and engage and engage. And we engage widely without demarcations of the isms that are locking us elsewhere. Political divides or religious divides, we don't care about those things. The starting point is humanity. We engage humanity.
Okay. Recently, Al-Amin, you were among the organizers of the Kimathi Day celebrations. This was looking back at Dedan Kimathi, the freedom fighter. Tell us about that, the Kimathi Day celebrations. What day was it? What was it all about? What were you pushing for? What are you championing?
Well, for the longest, I have been the organizer of the Kimathi Day anniversaries in this country. I just did a little hiatus of, I said, the last 5 years or so, where I decided I'm not getting involved in civil society work in Kenya. And also movement work. I've been doing movement work in the back room. And this one, to me, was kind of special because, in fact, that's even how I've even accepted this invitation to be here, that we have a time, a moment. This is a moment that we have that we need to seize, where we are looking towards harnessing the revolutionary spirit that has brought our country and countries this far, whether we're making headways or not, that's not the question. But there's a moment here that is speaking towards change. And speak to anybody in the street or anywhere. Those lamenting are lamenting, but there are those who are talking of, no, we have to get something different. We have to go different from here. And we look back as ourselves as people who have been in the movements, or people who have been involved in in the changes in this country, democracy, democratic changes, the constitution, and the like. And those who have been in the struggle for the longest. I was in the underground even in the 80s and the 90s, and we know, now we look back and ask questions about where is that revolution, or where is that or the struggle, where are the fruits? Are we gathering them? So this, since last year, we have been looking at our Mashujaa. I also belong to a collective called the Mashujaa Heritage, which comprises basically people in the struggle of the past and current struggle who want to honor their Mashujaa, but not just honoring the Mashujaa. It's trying to see what is it in those Shujaas that we can pull out and utilize now going forward. So when you look at, I give you an example where we really had some very, the wow moment. When we celebrated Professor Michere Githai Mugo last year, it was a reawakening and awoke a lot of us. I was the coordinator of the entire, celebration and linking it internationally, because it was not just celebrated locally. We even had celebrations in New York, in Syracuse, and in Zimbabwe and other countries. And from there, it awoke us and that we now need to look at our Mashujaa in different contexts, and with how can we plug their spirits into current day, sorting us out. So when coming to this year, we have a lot of Shujaas that we are celebrating. In fact, this month has been, kind of a conundrum, in the sense that we didn't know how to deal with it. We have Kimathi, we have Pinto, Piogama, we have, on the same month we have Karimindutu. Season, we're talking about February and March. We have JM Karaoke, We have Makan people, revolutionaries of this country who are no longer celebrated. Nobody mentions them, but we keep their memories alive. We keep their spirits alive. I'm invested in the Mau Mau myself. I'm a son of the Mau Mau. And I work so closely with the Matigari, the remnants of the Mau Mau, wherever I am, the collectives. I also work very closely with the remnants of other revolutionary figures, including people like Pinto. We are in touch with even the family, some of the remainders of the family, however much that Emma was not really very, in the processes. We work with others. Mekatelili wa Menza, for instance, we have collectives that work in the coast and work around that. Be they art collectives, musical collectives. So when we spoke about Kimathi, we said, and we have said this, that we are not just going to be celebrating anymore. We used to come and dance and, have a good time, take pictures, watch documentaries. So what? We get out and we forget about it. In our conversation, and basically this was a conversation between just me and my comrade, Willie Mutunga, Dr. Mutunga. We said, no, this is just, we can't continue this way. We have to have a political agenda to our conversations, to rekindle the spirit of Kimathi,
spirit of what they were doing,
and put it in context now for the country to work with. So we struggled to get a new constitution. The constitution is, for us, just a site of the struggle.
Yeah.
It's not the end to everything. It's now actioning it. Actualizing the constitution is our big thing. We know that the constitution has quite a lot of gaps, but we don't want to address those gaps because the politicians will hijack them, hijack the process of addressing those gaps and put their selfish bums on the whatever. So what we do then is work with what is there at the moment, get the citizens to understand it, get the citizens to own their constitutional processes of, giving life to so much that has not been given life. And so the question to us was, where are we with the constitution at the moment with all the issues that we are facing? The one issue that we said is that our representatives have failed us as Kenyans, and therefore we invoke the constitution. So the Kimathi Day celebration was also the launch pad for citizens' action on their sovereignty rights within the constitution.
It's interesting as you say that, because then I was going to say, when we look at times where you had communities who woke, the Great Renaissance, for example, that took place in Europe, and other times where the people woke up to realities of the times where they were, something happened, or there were certain pointers to show that, if we don't come up and come alive to our realities, then essentially we are going down the drain. So you've pointed to, look, representatives are failing us. What are those things that we can see that you say, this is not working, and it is as a result of the failure of those who have been chosen by us to lead us? What are some of those things that we see?
There's too many. It's too much. In fact, we wonder what is it
that we're not seeing.
So there's been a raft of legislation that has gone through the House, especially the houses. I'm not talking just about the National Assembly. Go to the county assemblies too. Too much legislation that is legislation against the people of Kenya. Right from the beginning, we're even talking about, agricultural laws, seed laws. We're talking about milk laws. We're talking about, the corporates actually are pushing, and I'm not talking about local corporates, multinational corporates have pushed too much, and the representatives have either sat back, or they don't understand what is going on, or just lent their own, they've spinelessly accepted that this just goes. So we have so many laws that shouldn't be laws in this country. We have, policies that have been rammed through Parliament and other institutions of governance. Policies that shouldn't be policy at the moment without even people's participation. Participation by the people, which is a constitutional obligation, is just mere PR. It's just to, some window dressing to just put up a show that we've taken this to the people. There's no legislation enabling public participation in this country, and therefore what the parliamentarians have gone with is their own thoughts about stuff that they might understand or not understand, without the people coming in and saying, critiquing it, and us having the benefit of the law to even follow back on the critique that is coded and recorded for us to say that law is based on participation somewhere where people said 1, 2, 3 things. We don't have any that kind of. The public participation bill is deliberately lying somewhere within the legislative process, and it's never going to be legislated on. So many of the constitutional clauses that require Parliament to go back to the people to engage player specific actors.
Right.
It's not been done in this country. It's only been done as some sideshow.
But then, Al-Amin, the Constitution gives us recourse, doesn't it?
Yes.
So first of all, we exercise our sovereignty by delegating it to these elected leaders, and we participate in choosing the leaders and then delegating part of the sovereignty to them. Then the Constitution also gives us the powers to take care of errant leaders. We know that in every 5 years or so, we have an election. In between, we have recourse. We can go to court and the judiciary and say, look, our leaders are abrogating the Constitution by doing this and the other. And then the courts can come up with decisions that say this is actually true. This is going against the Constitution. We have all this. Are we saying that leaders have failed and we have also failed to hold them accountable?
Yes, you're right. Leaders have failed. And they've also set a mechanism to ensure that they are not held to account. The recall clause that you're talking about, look at how watered it was by Parliament to a point that is actually nonsense. It means nothing. Try to follow that law to recall a leader, an errant leader. And my friend, you'll be there till the next elections, waiting for that to happen. The only thing that you can utilize to recall a leader is one with a criminal offense. Yeah, and a real criminal offense. And well, in Kenya, I don't even know what is the real criminal offense, because we even have murderers in Parliament. People who've been charged with murder and are still sitting in Parliament. People who've gone through the entire criminal justice process and even are judged guilty,
and sentenced,
and they're still in Parliament.
Yeah.
So that clause is rubbish. It's been rubbished by.
I'm actually not even talking about the
just a minute,
clause.
Eric. Let's go to the next one that you talked about, the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people themselves. Before we get to direct exercising their sovereignty directly, about the representation, we have never had, forums where the people have set themselves in a way that they can hold their leaders to account or generate material that goes to legislation. Talk about county assemblies. It would be the first point of call for the people to have a village assembly, which generates the needs of that village, and the MCA takes them up, and they are taken to the county assembly, and that package for the governor to create, a policy basket or a legislative basket, which goes now to be passed by the county assembly. But what we have is top down. The governor will come with, the budget, with a whole, whatever bunch of legislation that he wants rammed through, and the MCAs, what they do? we don't need to be told. I mean, so they will just take it in and rubber stamp it and it's gone. Nothing from the people, Well, maybe they will organize that sideshow again, the PR thing of public representation, but it never came from the people in the first place.
Why not?
Because the people have failed. If the people organize themselves today, I'm talking to my people in Laikipia, where I come from, in the Bundus, and I asked the Boda fellows, have you called your, what do you call him?
MCA.
Have you told him this is what we want here, on this stage? They say, no, we have not. And say, don't you think if you organized yourself, you would come running here? Boda people are very powerful in this country, but they don't even know how powerful they are, and that it's within their rights, actually, their right to call that guy and tell him, sit here, this is 1, 2, 3 things that we want.
Yeah.
If you don't do this by the end of this month, katanuka, and it will nuka. Those guys have done a lot of things. Public, mass action is within the rights and our constitutional rights, rights to protest. If the MCA is not doing your work, go to his house, seal it. Let him not come out until he pledges and to say that he's going to do his work. So we've not seen that. That's a tiny example. That can be cascaded or escalated to the MPs. Yeah, same thing. We've not seen that. The people don't even know what their rights are, and they've not charted any processes.
Okay. Al-Amin Kimathi is a human rights defender. He is a thought lead at the Utu Heritage. He's our guest this morning. Are citizens exercising their sovereignty to the fullest? Do they have avenues left for them to exercise their sovereignty? Let me just read the preamble of the Constitution. We, the people of Kenya, we acknowledge, those things of the preamble, acknowledging, honoring, proud, respectful, recognizing, exercising, adopt, enact, and give this Constitution to ourselves and to our future generations. And Chapter 1 of the Constitution, Article 1, Sovereignty of the people. All sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya, and it can be exercised by the people of Kenya directly or indirectly through their leaders. This is what we are saying. So if we are the sovereign and we sit back and we feel our leaders are failing us, those are actually using delegated powers. Sovereignty of the people. 1.1. All sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya, shall be exercised only in accordance with this Constitution. 1.2. The people may exercise their sovereign power either directly or through their democratically elected representatives. 1.3. Sovereign power under this Constitution is delegated to the following state organs, which shall perform their functions in accordance with the Constitution, and the organs are Parliament, the legislative assemblies in the county governments, the national executive and the executive structures in the county governments, and the judiciary and independent tribunals. The sovereign power of the people is exercised at both the national level and the county level. Al-Amin, are we fully exercising our sovereignty as a people?
Well, no. We are not at all, really.
At all?
Yeah. We are not exercising
We are
our
electing
sovereignty.
our elected.
No, but do we even understand our
We don't even understand what sovereignty is all about, what it is. And then when you elect, you delegate, and you let them, you give them license fares to do whatever they feel like. Really? Are you serious? And the other rubric, it told us Article 1, 2. It has 2 clear sections to it, either directly or
indirectly.
So there are 2 bits of it. Yeah. Where have we done anything directly?
How do we exercise our sovereignty directly?
Question. And yes, it's not even a legal issue. It's not even it's not rocket science. Clearly, the Constitution is just not mere words, like we began here with the parable from Benin. Those are words, very strong words, just one either directly or by delegation. And delegation to not just representatives, but also commissions, independent commissions and other organs, judiciary and the like. We've seen ourselves, a few people, gallant Kenyans, give it to them, Okia Omtata and a few others, relatively very few really, going even to court to challenge, authority on this issue or the other issue. But that's not the end of it with the judiciary. There's so much else that we need to be doing. Indeed, even ensuring that the judiciary itself has the capacity, the infrastructure, the moral, capacity, authority, because a lot of times we don't even care how the conduct of the judges and magistrates outside the bench, how it affects us, and how are they housed. For instance, magistrates, you ride with them in matatus, you ride with them, they have no basics, and you expect that these are the people who are going to protect your rights and defend you from whatever. These are guys you can even get on a knife in a matatu and tell them, hey, if you don't pass this thing, you're in trouble with me. Or chukua hii, go and
sort me out.
Sort me out today. We don't care about the magistrate, but we care so much about the Chief Justice, or the Justice, the Justices of the Court of Appeal, and the others, whom we give a lot of, perks, privileges, we give them protection, we give them motorcades, huge ones. When there is a fellow in Migori in a court who sits under a tree, a leaking roof in the court, and they live with the people there very, very, cautiously. They have to, So that's part of it. What are the people doing for the judiciary themselves, challenging the authorities? We hear the president coming up and saying we are going to give you, add more money in the whatever budget and stuff. That's not the president's business. It's not him to even add money. Money, the treasury should actually be very independent of the president. But those are questions that the Kenyans would never ask about the other institutions. There are so many others that have already been captured. I can deal with mine. We fought so hard in this country to get the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. But the KNHCR has been repurposed. It's not there anymore. We remember why we even had the chair of the commission having the same level with the judges of the High Court. Is that there are going to be tribunals. There are going to be commissions within the commission. There are going to be investigations and such things, and that therefore they have powers of summoning anyone, and even setting out a tribunal that can come up with clear, rulings which have the force of law. But the commission, have you ever heard it of, since the Minor Kiai Commission? From there onwards, you don't even have any tribunal. What are the people doing about these sort of things?
We are saying in then Article 1, 2, where we can exercise our sovereign power directly or indirectly, our indirect power is being bastardized.
That one has been rubbished.
What is the direct exercise of sovereignty? What does that mean?
Ideally, Eric, ideally, there should have been a legislation, giving it life. You get every part of the Constitution that says it, there shall be. Then there must be a legislation that shows how it's going to be, clearly developed. So, one, Parliament will never do that. A kind of Parliament. It's us, the people, who need to develop that legislation and force Parliament to take it. Or, alternatively, where there's not going to be any of this happening, then the people have to organize themselves into assemblies that finally gather a force of law. And we talk about a national convention that has a force of law based on that constitutional, the preamble, Article 1 itself, and several other articles that will give you the muscle and the capacity to ensure that any assembly by the people is an assembly whose, deliberations are legal and have, legal impact. And the import needs to be seen by the institutions taking up
Right.
what has been passed. So from here, then, it behooves the country, the people themselves. We hark back to our history, CT. Remember the constitutional review process? Up to Bomas, for a long time, it was just the people's process all the way to Bomas. It gained the force of law at Bomas. But before then, it is the people pushing and pushing. We pushed Moi right from Limuru 1, Limuru 2, Limuru 3, when Safari Park 1, Safari Park 2, Safari 3. Yeah? Then from there, we ended up at Ufungamano with the Ufungamano Commission.
Initiative.
Ufungamano People's Commission, where we had our own commissions under Oki Ombaka, and the Reverend Mutava Musimi and the like, the NCEC process. And that forced Moi to come up with
the CKRC.
None of the CKRC. The CKRC was a merger between the People's Commission and the Gai Commission that was created by Moi. Remember, Raila Odinga was the chairman of the parliamentary team, select committee that formed the constitutional commission headed by Guy. But then there was a crunch, remember that Guy himself had to reach out. Give it to Professor Ashpal Guy, that he said, I can't do this thing. We can't do it alone when the people are on the other side against us. So he talked. They came together, we negotiated, and we had a merger of the commissions, two of them. Well, a lot of us, a lot of my colleagues whom we had appointed as commissioners lost out in the way, when the merger happened. But we had a very powerful CKRC as a result, and going to Bomas. But there's one point that I wanted to make, a point of history. At Ufungamano, just before the IPPG in 1997, the Interparties Parliamentary Group met and passed those IPPG minimum reforms. They were against the people. We were meeting at Ufungamano, and we had already come up, and again, this is before Raila crossed to Moi's side. But on the day that the IPPG was meeting, there are some people who were said to have betrayed the commission, the people. They met as parliamentarians and decided to go with Moi for the minimum reforms to happen so that we go to the elections. And remember, the clarion call then was no reforms, no elections. But they went into a facility to agree on minimum reforms. And we were in Ufungamano, where we were declaring that Ufungamano meeting, the assembly, a constituent assembly. Raila Odinga was on the floor, moving a motion that can this assembly here and now be constituted into a constituent assembly, which would have meant that any deliberations there have the force of law of the people. So it could even have, been leading to a coup by the people. But that was happening in the absence of a constitution, and a constitution that mandated, the people to do that kind of a thing.
Does this one mandate us to do
That's the thing. That's what you are reading. The preamble, Article 1, and the Article 1, 2, with all the rubrics, the two rubrics that it has.
Does it say that by exercising our sovereignty directly, this is how we shall exercise that power directly? Because I think that's where the question emerges, that yes, we are the sovereign.
Yes.
Like I asked earlier.
It doesn't necessarily have to say even this is how. It was already said clearly that sovereignty
belongs to the people.
And the people will exercise their sovereignty
in accordance
with this constitution, either directly or through delegation to representatives and these organs. Okay, it doesn't need to say how. The how was what those representatives ought to have worked on. Now, when they haven't, we can't be left there, at their mercy. We have now to give it the how as the people of Kenya. It is us, the sovereigns, who need to say how, not the representatives who are our servants.
Do you get how do we?
This is my question here.
Yes,
Because
now we'll go to the how.
the how. And there has to be a certain state of mind, in my opinion.
Yes.
Because I don't know if the word to use is difficult, but shouldn't there be a state of mind where people have gotten to the point where they realize this power that rests in you? Because without the realization of that strength that you actually have, the likelihood of you acting is minimal, is low. But I think that where we have seen, and I think we have very many examples. I mean, these guys always try to call me freedom fighter here. But I think we've seen very many examples of when people have actually come out to express that power. But it has only been at a place whereby there has been the realization that you actually do have it and to what levels you do.
Yeah.
What likelihood will we see somebody
These guys
going
are right
and
calling you freedom fighter, I
and
think.
boarding up the home of an MCA? Can you see that with the majority of Kenyans today?
They will do that today.
Actually, yes, I can.
Yes.
If it will happen when it gets to the point whereby your nose is at the wall.
But it's at the wall now.
Is it?
Has that
Are
even
people-
gone beyond the
It's
wall?
gone beyond the wall.
People gotten to the point whereby they will take that action.
Yes.
And it's not happening today, so
Just-
why?
Freedom fighter. Thank you so much, because this is a statement of a liberator. They are on the wall. They know it. They've been pushed to the wall. Yeah. The only thing that they don't realize is not that politician who they always depend on whenever they want to do anything, to get out of the wall. They're waiting every time you even hear, tunangoja, Raila kituambia tuende, tutaenda, or so and so is going to do whatever. Now they have to realize, and even with the current developments, that those are not the ones to get us off the wall. That we need to ourselves to organize ourselves to get off the wall. Without those ones, those politicians, then therefore it behoves on them to come up with the alternative leadership, okay, to what they're having. Because those ones that they're relying on are completely, visibly, and evidently captured. And they know it now. Those are people, either government or the other people out of government. They are in the same game. There's two sides of one coin. Yeah, and Kenyans are now realizing that. Kenyans are realizing. They're even seeing pictures of their demigods.
Yeah.
Together, eating out together.
I'll give you an
example.
example.
They know that we're not going to wait for these people anymore. We're
going to do it on our own.
Yes, and they know that they're leaders.
Yeah,
They're the
I'll give you an
leaders.
example. In Nigeria, 2 years ago, there was this, what we all called a rogue police unit called SARS.
Yeah.
And the things that they would do, sometimes unspeakable to people, innocently walking along the streets.
Yeah.
And this was around the country.
Right.
Innocently walking around the streets, doing your thing, and somebody, by virtue of the fact that they've been given some kind of power, they then went on to manufacture some artificial power on their own to
Yes, yes.
continue.
Yes.
And it had been going on for decades,
Yeah.
until people said, you know what? Let this whole damn thing burn to hell.
Right.
We're not getting off the streets until you end SARS.
And SARS.
Until you end SARS, we are not do what you need to do, but let us know that the body that is known as SARS today ends today.
Yes.
Until it ends.
Yes.
Nigerians were cooking food in their homes and bringing to the street so that the protesters could have something to eat and drink the whole day and night, until the government said, you know what? Okay, let's see what we can do. Whether you took those people and then you put them in other departments of the police, that's not our problem. But SARS as an entity, if it does not end, we die here, essentially, is what it is. Because people had been killed, people had been maimed, people had been thrown in jail for no reason. Things had happened to people, and people had reached the very, very end.
Yeah.
And we can see the simmering of that thing. And so that's why I believe that action like that actually works. Is that what you need to hear sometimes in order to get things moving?
Not just
But
there.
do
I think
remember-
so. I think
remember-
sometimes you need to hear it.
Remember, the thing you need to consider is what you're actually reversing. I'm using the word reversing. If you look at the throws, the troughs, and the peaks that we've had from independence, at independence, the spirit, the agitation, what people wanted, what they anticipated, independence comes, there's a lull. We've had periods. Then Moi comes in. Moi had the misfortune of people picking up from where Kenyatta had left off, okay? And they just continued with it, and they figured, Now, what is this mindset that we develop over time that makes us so easy to be led by the nose?
Yeah.
And the battering and the beating that you take psychologically as a result of that compliance is very difficult to shake loose.
Yeah.
We are more inclined towards obeying and listening and doing. Now, as you say correctly, it's not just the problems. It is the visibility of the ineffectual and the careless manner in which the leadership whom we have elected manage our affairs.
Handles things, yeah.
Because they don't even pretend they live in opulence, and yet there are many Kenyans, the numbers are growing, who don't even know whether they're going to eat or not.
Yep.
Now, that reality is what begins to change your mind. You realize, no, what I'm putting up with. And you see the signs. You don't need to see something very, very, very strange. Look at the number of incidences we've had in the recent past where people, without Raila Odinga telling them to go and protest, have organized themselves for one reason or the other. And these aren't small groups. It's not 2 or 3 people. It's a large crowd of people.
Yes.
Now, those are the signs that tells you that people have figured, something? We really are sovereign, and we really can do this thing.
We can do as we wish.
But must it be sustained? Must it be sustained?
The one thing that we need to do, we need to obviate is anarchy. Yeah? It can be anarchic if we allow it, and because fellows on the wall will go there. So that self-realization that you're talking about also need to come with a little bit of organizing, some ideological positioning, that those people who are acting on that also require to know, to have an idea or two about where are we going, where are we coming from.
Rules of engagement.
The rules of engagement. So we need to be very conscious about, and very intentional, organizing, try to organize this and managing the anger that is there.
Sure.
But not curtailing the anger. Let's have the anger, let it push us. Yeah, it's good that that we've even referred to SARS. I belong to a collective that's called Africa for Africans, which is a continental body, and we were there. Even look at our, we trended end SARS even in Kenya on Twitter, working with court. Thing that we need to tie it in again, the same mob things have happened even in other countries, and the things Haiti is grappling with is the same thing, And who is at the center of this thing? Is the imperialist up there? Okay, it's a problem that the imperialists have created and perpetuated, and right now what we are having is imperialist lackeys within us, within our institutions. Yeah. Lapdogs. And please, at times, deal with this, temper it with empathy and sympathy. That some of these guys are just, victims.
The lapdogs are
the lapdogs.
City says they're incompetent.
They're not just incompetent.
They're just hungry.
It's the system that we have. Take that system and take City with all his, the sage here and the seer of in this house. I'm telling you, chances are that you'll come down, behaving more or less.
Same.
I agree with you, Al-Amin.
He might even be the engineer himself.
I've got to ask
a guy called engineer. He will be engineer.
I've got to ask the question as we close the conversation. So, as we're talking about then the need for citizens to understand their sovereign power and this, what you launched during the Kimathi Day celebrations, where is it heading?
It is heading.
Is it heading into a national convention?
It is heading into a national convention.
Leadership?
We are actually asking people to even don't mind that we can have even 2, 3, 4 conventions. Yeah, the more the merrier. As the Utu heritage and the Utu collectives, we are leading to an Utu convention. Yeah, which we call Utu Kongamano. Utu Kongamano. Ama Kongamano la Utu. Because for us, we see the answer to all these things must be Utu-based. Therefore, there's going to be an Utu Kongamano. It might not be the convention that the Constituent Assembly that we are looking to be the one that has the force of law, but it's a powerful
conversation starter.
The conversation starter. There are going to be others which will marry eventually somewhere. Kenyans are with that spirit, and you can see the spirit that's around, that's pervading the entire country. We merge this and we go into that moment, the Constituent Assembly moment. And that's where whatever rubber meets what?
The road.
The road.
Katanuka.
Katanuka, apana. We are going there with love, empathy, kindness, interdependence, and we generate the knowledge for it together. It's knowledge co-generation. This is what Utu is all about. Atunukishi,
the conversation has begun, and we'll invite you again and again so we can see where the conversation is heading and also take stock of what you're doing. But we thank you very much for joining us today, Al-Amin.
It's my pleasure, and thank you very much. I need to meet you outside here, the sage especially.
Very good.
And the
Al-Amin Kimathi is a human rights defender. He's been our guest. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.